focused on my own way, with never looking back.
All right, race fans, welcome live tonight here, Monday night racing here with the Sim500 Monday Night Money Series presented by Transervice here, Auto Club. Boy, I like this track, man. We're going to see some good racing. And boy, we got 40 cars out here, Sim500. And these guys, man, are putting on a show in the cut machines week in and week out. And, I mean, we got some of the best out here. And actually, see that we still got, Parker Clingerman back out here with us again. Scott Stencil, I believe he's back out here again, and a host of other guys here from the Sim500. I just can't say enough that these guys out here put on a show. I'm gonna bring my trade paints up here so everybody can watch the pretty little paint jobs out there. And as always, I'm Joe White up here in the booth, and I am accompanied by, hang on.
Second place being Malik Ray, that's a significant feat right there, and these guys picked up a lot from practice, which tells me that a lot of these guys reserved their practice laps for later in the session when there was a lot of rubber buildup, the track had heated up. It goes over to qualifying, you're on a green racetrack, it's a little bit cooler, not as much rubber has been laid down, and it really increases the grip. So that's one of the things that, you know, if you want to be a good qualifier here, that's one of the things that you keep in mind is just how much deeper you can drive it into the corner, how much more aggressive you can run all the way around. And at a track this big where you get into the gas so early, it's kind of hard to do.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with you there. Sorry about that, folks. Trading paint's loaded up and it wanted to just like what I had working, but now it came back. So good deal. I'm back at live. I want to appreciate everybody tuning in. What's going on out there, Doug George, Jason Allison, man? How y'all doing? Appreciate everybody tuning in here for the Sim500 Monday Night Money Series presented by Transervice. These guys are about to put on a very good show out here. And you talk about Auto Club. You're actually hearing some of the guys out there, a little bit of chatter amongst the teams on what to expect here.
Yeah, one of the things I noticed is that there was a lot of differing opinions on what the cars were doing. I was, before the race here, I was listening in to Chad Coleman and Parker Clingerman describe the car, and they both had varying ideas of just how loose it was on corner exit, and they came to the belief that really it depends on how you're approaching these exits. It's such a wide racetrack that there's so many lines that you can run here, and it really might open up a lot over the course of the race.
Absolutely, and it's going to be something going to be interesting to see. Had a good race the other day here at Auto Club. They got fanned out pretty good, very patient. There's about 28 machines out there, so you know we're working on 40 here tonight. Big field, I mean, these guys are fast. Throughout the whole entire field here, it's hard to see one guy step up so far. Anthony DeBarro right there on the top right now with Rick McBride. Obviously, if I had to look at one guy, maybe Malik Ray has really turned the wick up here in the last couple weeks. But all in all, it's been anybody's ball game this season.
Yeah, and you definitely get that a lot with such a great lineup of drivers. Malik Ray out here is a two-time champion of the Monday Night Money Series. He won with the truck and the Xfinity car over in the winter and then last summer. And he's been qualifying more and more here because he realizes just how hard it is to come through these fields, I would imagine, because he was never one to qualify too often. But now that we have 43 cars just about showing up every single week, I mean, qualifying up front is paramount. It makes your job a heck of a lot easier.
Yeah, absolutely, and I agree with you on that one too, right there. So that's you've got to be able to qualify. Obviously, unless we're talking about plate tracks, and then anybody can go to the front. But a track like this, what I did notice too, passing was a very, very crucial thing here. But also a track position, and that's what we were just talking about: qualifying, track position, trying to get up front. Something to keep in mind with these drivers.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And someone who's been great at that all year has been Anthony DeBarro, which I'm not sure how many poles he's up to, but I feel like he's the fastest man in town quite often.
Yeah, I agree with you there. And right now, certainly putting it on pole as he's run a best time out there of 40.357, almost about a half tenth or so, not quite a full tenth faster than Rick McBride sitting in second. Malik Ray there in third. And again, just you can't count these guys out. We got Chad Cole there in fourth, Nicholas Cohan in fifth, Mitch Rollo there in sixth, Greg Evans seventh, Parker Clingerman eighth, Corbin Hemstreet, that's another one to keep an eye on there in ninth, and Thomas George rounds the top 10.
Yeah, and a lot of those guys. Parker Clingerman probably happier to have a better qualifying effort this week. I've seen him come from the middle of the pack a lot. He's a lot closer this time, starting from 8th here in this 43 car field as these guys are going through the drivers meeting right now. But Chad Coleman, first driver to miss the top 10, he's 11th. Jose Gonzalez, Eric Arnold, Nelson Rivera, Bobby Terrell coming from 15th. Again, another driver who you can't ever count out Bobby Terrell. Second place in points last season, going to be coming from 15th in this one.
Yeah, no doubt about it, and you speak about Parker. We don't try to harp on a lot of him being out here, but hey, it is great to see the growing drivers here at the Sim500. Qualifying's coming to a close, but man, he's had a rough couple weeks. Been up front running a lot along with a lot of these other guys, and then just got caught up in a mess. So we'll see what happens here tonight. Auto Club can always turn that around. What's going on out there, Gerald? So Nicholas Cohan out there waving at everybody. Well, appreciate everybody here tonight on YouTube, Facebook Live, Twitch. I promise, folks, we're going to get the time right for the portal on Monday night. The GMT time and all that stuff is throwing me off, and I am trying to get it right. I send it in one way, and it gets put a different. So working with the guys over there to get that time right.
Yeah, and even just being here, it's kind of throwing me for a loop just how much later it stays. Daylight's hanging around.
Yes, absolutely. Well, qualifying. Here we go. I'm going to grid these guys up as Anthony DeBarro puts it on pole. Rick McBride starts in second. Malik Ray is going to be in third. Chad Cole sitting in fourth. Fifth place man Nicholas Cohan. Mitch Rollo's in sixth. Seventh place Greg Evans. Parker Clingerman starting in eighth. Ninth place Corbin Hemstreet. And round out the top 10, Thomas George. Look through the rest of this 40-some car field here tonight of awesome bad fast machines. And like I like to say, some bad fast drivers and some bad fast cars about to do some wicked bad fast things on an Auto Club track tonight. It's going to be exciting here, folks.
Oh, absolutely. And I just mentioned a couple of the guys starting in the teens in this one, going back to the 20s on back. Mike Kelly is one guy to have your eye on if you're watching this race. He's starting 23rd, one of the great long run drivers really in this series. And I expect him to drive toward the front. Just going down this list, Tim Johnston is a very fast driver. He's coming from 31st, but he's warding drivers around him. He's having some graphic issues, so not sure exactly what he's going to have in this one. Brian Cook coming from 21st. Steve Gottschalk coming from 19th. Great qualifying efforts have kind of been his thing so far this year. Not so great on the luck in a chunk of these races, but starting right in the middle of the field. Looks like we've got 39 drivers in this one.
That's a lot, and I'm going to tell you, these guys will put on a show here tonight at Auto Club. It'll be an interesting one out there, and I hope everybody's tuned in to get set here for the Sim500 presented by Transervice Logistics Cup Series here live tonight from Auto Club Speedway. As we're getting set to go green flag. 90 laps is what they're going to do here tonight. And these boys, man, of the Sim500, well, they're about to put on a show here like no other. This season kicked off at Daytona a couple weeks ago, and it's been nothing but stellar ever since. Ever since we've started here, Harrison, these guys have just tried to one-up each other each and every week.
Yeah, and it's interesting how it works out that way. You just get on from one week to the next and be more and more interesting. Last week, of course, at Phoenix, a much different racetrack than here. And I'm really excited for this one. There's a lot of grooves to work with here. I think the track is going to get wider and wider throughout the night, especially maybe not at first, but 20, 30, 40 laps from now, it'll be really interesting.
All right, well, here we go. Pace cars coming into turn 3. We're about set to go green flag racing here for the first time tonight. As these boys of the Sim500 is going to pull it around here. Gonna be a good one, folks. Hang on to your hats as that pace cars, man, just kind of trucking around just a little bit right now. We're watching the front lines here. We're coming out of turn 4. Fasten your seatbelt there, Harrison. We're in for a ride here at Auto Club. Sim500 style, Transervice. Pace cars in. Here we go. We're going green flag racing here, 90 laps here. For this awesome speedway, listen to the roar of those motors as they storm through the start-finish line.
Yeah, and Anthony Navarro off to a great start. Brett McBride had a great qualifying effort in second, but as you see, Malik Ray already able to clear him for position number 2. Now it's Chad Cole in the 82, who's really been doing a great job qualifying in recent weeks. He starts up front pretty much every week now, which is one of the things he's mentioned that he wanted to work on. And we spoke to him 2 weeks ago where he said that he really loves these big tracks. And I tell you, this looks like a big track to me.
Absolutely. 2-mile speedway here. A lot of fast laps. And just to give you an idea, some of the speed that these guys will be carrying. I watched the other day, they were carrying almost 206 mile an hour on the back stretch there. Actually, the front stretch, excuse me, because it's kind of a little longer on the front stretch here than it is on the back stretch. So that's some bad, fast speed at this place.
Oh, it's a lot of speed, and you really have to slow it down for these corners. On fresh rubber, these guys are doing 150 in the center, so they're slowing 56 miles an hour from that end of the front stretch over into the center of the corner there, which is not something that you really think about on a track this huge, but a lot of lifting, a lot of braking, a lot in the hands of the driver here.
Well, right now, you're seeing the man out front, Anthony Navarro, is out front with Malik Ray trying to chase him down. Chad Cole sitting in second. Nicholas Cohan back here in 5th place, and he's got Parker Clingerman looking right on his back deck, trying to look on the inside, see if he can't take that spot away. Contact almost between the two.
Yeah, Parker threw it in there, and Cohan wasn't having any of it, and turned right down on him, and I don't think either of them are probably happy with each other at that point. Probably thought that Parker pushed the issue way too much, and Parker probably thought, hey, I got in there, you got to give me some room. Not to speak for these drivers, but that's what we call a racing incident. As now Parker working side by side. That's Mitch Rollo underneath him. Those Boomtown guys been doing a great job in recent weeks. A lot of speed out of those machines. Looking to win some more races. Yeah,
Boomtown came in here and definitely made the place go boom, because they have definitely stepped up the pace as he's going side by side Parker and Mitch right there, door to door. What I also noticed was that inside lane got a good run going in. The problem is middle off. That car wants to push, and that high line will come into play. Early on with your tires, I think the inside lane might work, but later on, you're going to have to use that outside, I think is what's going to happen.
Yeah, while Clingerman there in the 75 was clearing Rolo out of turn 2, he was wheeling it quite a bit coming out of 2. He was, looks like kind of a tight loose. It starts going up the hill. You've got a lot of wheel in it. It starts fishtailing a little bit. And, you know, this is on pretty fresh rubber here, and it's only going to get more difficult from there.
Well, you know, we're talking about some awesome speeds out here, 200-some mile an hour and almost 190-some just on the back stretch. So these guys definitely are having their hands full, and when these cars can get away from them, good battle going on back right now. Everybody's kind of single file, been very patient. You know, as we say that, you might have a group or two here go side by side, but pretty much everybody in the line right now trying to fill out what it is. Kind of a long way to go here. They're only at lap 5 here at 90, so if we get a good long green flag run in, maybe they can see what that car will do later on down the road.
Oh yeah, and if we don't have it now, we'll have it later. But it's certainly, it's interesting. It's kind of like, it's almost like a science experiment. You start the race with a certain approach in your mind of how you're going to run this track, and then usually you're going to surprise yourself by either saving too much tire, maybe using up too much tire, maybe you're too hard on the right front tire, maybe you're too hard on the right rear, and so it's a constant adjustment in this one.
Absolutely, yeah. I'm talking about it's a little loose out there when it's warm. Well, it's 78 degrees and the track temp is 104, so I would say the track is just a tad bit warm out there to these guys right now, and until those tires get worn in, they're probably going to feel. But talk about Jose Gonzalez. He's moved up in the 12th place spot. Got some heavy hitter names back there. Nelson Riviera, Eric Arnold, Bobby Terrell, E.J. O'Rourke, Nick Solomon, Nick Timms back. I mean, the list just goes on and on. I have a who's who here at the Sim500. A lot of guys that we've seen dominate, so to speak, in the Truck Series and Xfinity Series maybe don't have 100% grasp on the Cup car quite yet.
Yeah, it's definitely a different animal, and it certainly takes a lot of adjustment. A lot of guys, it just takes them a little bit of time to figure out exactly where that limit is, where they're just feeling out exactly what the car wants, because as similar as they all are, you know, they're all NASCAR, but it really takes a different approach to how you drive all those the three major NASCAR cars.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, they all drive so differently, and they pretty much, I always say iracing is about the realest thing you can get without spending millions of dollars and stepping into one of these things. And you can see some of these guys already trying to chase the tail end of them. They're coming off the turns, kind of a little bit wiggly, as everybody's kind of nose to tail right now in a single file order. And go back here, looks like Brian Boris Cook's back here in a little bit of a battle with the two machine of Mike Kelly. And you also got Chris Gibbs back there.
Yeah, that's a name that I haven't, I don't think I've seen before.
Chris Gaboo is what I usually call him. But it's actually Gibbs.
Oh.
Yeah, I used to call him Chris Gaboo, but I think it's Chris Gibbs, or I don't know. He's told me before, my bad.
They probably just, maybe that's a nickname, like everyone calls him Gibbs.
Yeah, you know what, and like I said, again, I'll get up with him again and find out how to pronounce that last name. But he got the SimSpeedShop.com machine out here roaring around. He's back in 25th spot right now. He's just trying to see what he can do. He's got the 42 of Doug Roth on the outside of him there. But that 43 machine looking pretty good. Just kind of go through the field since everybody's kind of spread out right now. I mean, you got Bobby Wetzel back here in the back. He's in a good battle along with Rick Thompson and Scott Simley. Well, I call him Scott Smiley.
Yeah, Sibley was one of the guys who didn't qualify, and so he started in 34th, currently running 30th, but Simley's one of those drivers where it seems like throughout a race he just methodically works his way forward. Right now, really taking it easy, and it seems like a lot of these guys have that mindset that they think it's going to go a while, or they're trying to make it go a while. There's a lot of smart driving, a lot of relaxed driving right now as they sort it out.
Yeah, and I was just watching Bobby Wetzel right there. He had to chase that car down to the infield just a little bit on the back stretch there. What I'm noticing, too, is these guys are flirting with the disaster a little bit. They're getting down on that white line in the apron and upsetting these cars a little bit.
Oh yeah, and watching the Bobby Wetzel, he actually did that 2 corners in a row, but the second time he did that, he didn't shoot to the left as hard as he did. Good looking car from him too. The Steve Park colors that on that Pennzoil #9 machine.
Yeah, right now looking pretty good so far. Oh, Timothy Johnston, he was in a good battle with Brian Boris Cook back here in the back. Well, let's go back up front here is our man Anthony DeBarro. He's got a handle on the track, and he's about 7/10 ahead of Malik Ray. So far, he's rolling. Right behind him, but the man on the move. Up to third place spot, Parker Clingerman. You know, he did this the last couple weeks, and then just got caught up in a racing incident. That's the way I like to say it. It's just one of those deals that happen.
Yeah, and these guys are also competitive, and they're all close on speed, and it's not hard to do. It really isn't. And Clingerman right now shown in up to third, as you said, and that's the most speed I've seen out of him really so far this season. The couple of times I've seen him, and I have had a couple issues where I've missed a race or two, but that 75 Folgers machine's looking pretty sporty, or creeping up on the back bumper of that #1 Malik Ray.
Yeah, I think if he can stay out of trouble, I think he might sneak a win out here before it's over with. He's been up front running good all series long, so to speak. It's just he's had bad luck later on into the runs, and right now these guys are kind of spread out. Good group of battle going on here. Rick McBride, Mitch Rollo, Nick Cohan, all three of them machines there, nose to tail. Every once in a while they'll step out of line trying to go side to side, but they still stay in nose to tail. As we're back up here talking about it though. Look at Parker, he's on the inside of Malik Ray for second.
Yeah, Malik Ray backs out early for turn 1, tucks in behind him. I think Malik is paying very close attention to exactly what he needs to do in this long run. DeBarro pushing it a little bit harder than Malik Ray at this stage of the race, but that could be deceiving, I tell you. Sometimes you have a guy out front, you think he's pushing harder than you are, but he's doing it exactly right and keeping his tires on it. As is pretty obvious at this point, Clingerman has probably been maybe the fastest car on the track, definitely chasing down DeBarro. Not this lap though, loses a little bit of momentum there in 3 and 4.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Now I gotta ask though, I got to chuckle when I ask this, because maybe it's an advantage on Parker's part. I wonder if he gets to use during the Sim500 races, if he gets to use that big NBC sim rig that they've got, that they do, the NBC thing.
Yeah, that would be interesting. That'd be cool.
I'd like to know that. We need to find out if it is, because hey, I've seen it on the NASCAR.com and whatnot, and it's awesome to watch. So just kind of kids, I don't know if he's at home or if he's like, well, let me just sneak into the studio and maybe try to use that thing on Monday nights.
I think he's home right now, but I really do wonder if he'd be able to use that NBC rig if he wanted to late at night. That'd be really cool.
I think it's nice. I love watching it and watching the guys use it and whatnot. What's going on, Timothy, out there? I want to appreciate everybody tuning in tonight. And we're live here at Auto Club Speedway for the Sim500 Monday Night Money Series here in the Cup Cars, presented by Transervice Logistics. I want to appreciate Transervice coming on board and talking about Transervice. Chad Cole, he's got the Transervice Toyota right now, running pretty good in the 4th place spot.
Yeah, and Chad has routinely expressed just how much he not only loves speedways, as I pointed out earlier, but loves long runs. I don't think he's a guy who likes the lack of a rhythm you get with a bunch of cautions and a bunch of restarts. He loves that long run rhythm, and I can understand that feeling. The longer we go here, the more speed he seems to have. And so right up on the back bumper of Malik Ray right now.
Malik looks like he's having little issues here, maybe just not getting the grass of the car. We've had a pretty good long green flag with 17 laps of 90 in the books tonight. Malik looks like he's backing up just a little bit. Don't know if he's by design or if he's trying to figure out something, or if that car is just actually falling off the pace.
Yeah, it is interesting because I wondered how much he was saving, but you do see him losing the back end of the car fairly often on corner exit, or there was a little bit of twitching going on last time he was going through 1 and 2. But drives into turn 1 harder, a little bit harder there that time. As you can see, these guys taking a huge arc down to the bottom to that white line. They get it right at the apex, and a little bit lower exit than as big of an arc that they do entering. But Now he's putting a little bit of distance on Chad Cole, but not much. But yeah, similarly, we're hitting that point. You know, there's been a lot of fall off. The car's changed a lot.
Yeah, and you're starting to see a lot of guys right now with the fall off too. You know, Rick McBride right there in the 5th place spot. Mitch Rollo's behind him, so a lot of guys are kind of separating so a little bit. Parker is running down the leader ever so slightly, still about a half second ahead out there, Anthony DeBarro. Corbin Henstreet, he's a man still hanging on to 8th, but you got to go back to about the 9th and 10th. We got a battle between Chad Coleman and actually Greg Evans.
Yeah, and Coleman, that pretty cool black gray go. He gets really loose at a turn 2 there. But the black with the gray is always an aesthetic I think is pretty cool. Another JDR Graphics car. They look so different. It's kind of easy to forget. Both Malik Ray and Chad Coleman have JDR Graphics. And now Coleman on the low side, the 26 Jose Gonzalez working the outside. The 31 Eric Arnold's trying to look underneath Coleman. So we have a 3 wide down the front. Someone get the 3 car got way loose. They're 4 wide now. The 3 car got so loose coming out of turn number 4. And there's so much room here that I tell you, they made 4 wide look like nothing.
Man, 3 wide, still going into turn number 1 and almost contact between the 31 machine there, Eric Arnold. They get that sorted out coming out of turn 2 there as Jose Gonzalez goes back on the back deck lid of the 20 machine to Chad Cole. But for a moment right there, you were right. 4 wide here at Auto Club can be done. I don't know if I'd want to take it in a turn that way, but you can do it on the front stretch here. You just got to be very, very careful.
Yeah, and as these guys are having this heated battle, Jose Gonzalez threw it to the outside of Coleman, got out there, and that was, I couldn't believe he got out there in the center of 3 and 4 like that. That was insanely impressive. But you look at these guys battling in the middle of the pack. It's not like up front where those guys can run at their own pace. The tires just look older when they're battling mid-pack, don't they?
Absolutely. And right now, a good battle going on between Chad Cole, Jose Gonzalez. Comes Speedy Gonzalez, and the man is doing some speed right now as he takes that high line into the wall, though. Boy, he drove it up in there. That car just pushed straight up into the wall, and that checked the field up.
Yeah, and we'll have to see if it was a little bit of net code, but I see some damage on that right front of Chad Coleman. Could have just been net code on my end. We'll have to see, but that's something you never want to happen. Jose lost 2-3 spots in the middle of it. Thomas George and Eric Arnold were able to get around him. The 3 car that got so loose was Greg Evans, and he's got sponsorship from Kirkwood Transportation. Todd Kirkwood, that's trucking.
Absolutely, yeah, Todd Kirkwood, and I talked to Todd the other day, and he's talking about wanting to do sponsorship and whatnot, and I said, absolutely, get up with me. Good guy there, Kirkwood Design. And obviously, our title sponsor here for the series, the Sim500 Transervice Logistics, and then Sim500, or excuse me, for the Sim500, for the SimSpeedShop.com coming on board here at OSR Network for 2018 season. But these guys back here from 10th on back here, Harrison, they are definitely on top of each other.
Yeah, there's a lot of battling going on mid-pack. I see E.J. O'Rourke in sort of the tail end of that little pack right there. EJ was under attack from the 14 Bobby Terrell. EJ on the outside. Terrell trying to move through the field. He qualified 15th, fell back to 17th, up to 15th again right now, or 62. Almost a little contact with the 41 of O'Rourke. EJ backed out. I think he was about to get run into the wall, or about to run himself into the wall. I didn't quite see that, so I don't want to say one way or the other, even though I just said both. But now Bobby Terrell creeping up on Mike Kelly, who qualified 23rd. Kelly's up to 15th. We got one guy coming to pit road. That's Jose Gonzalez. The rest of these guys stay out.
Yeah, he had a damage. Well, in the meantime, up front here, we got a new leader. Parker Clingerman has brought this thing to the front, folks. And yes, that is the Parker Clingerman here. And like I said, if he just can stay out of trouble, I think he can pull a win off. He's definitely got, the skill, and he's got the car to do it here. And right now, Anthony DeBarro, he ran him down. He's still right there about 3/10 behind him. But Parker looking good so far. So keep your fingers crossed for him. Doesn't get caught up in anything.
Yeah, and I really like the old school look. If my trading paints is doing its job, that Folgers machine, that 75, makes me think of, well, the obvious is Tim Richmond, also Ken Schrader, Benny Parsons. I mean, that's as old school NASCAR as you get right there.
Yeah, it looks like he got a little loose. Anthony was able to pull up on his back deck lid there just a little bit. We're getting to this point with the tires, though, are going to start being the question. You're going to have to start babying that thing. And what I'm also noticing here, too, look how bumpy this track is. It's not as smooth as you think. You see those cars coming down the front stretch. You can see the front splitter on them kind of just bouncing.
Yeah, and it's really one of the oldest one of the oldest surfaces we have in NASCAR, and it really shows. I mean, especially, it's not as obvious in iRacing, but watching the race on Sunday, these things are bouncing all over the place going down the backstretch. It's kind of crazy.
You know, and it's almost like a, Rockingham, which I know they don't run there anymore, but very bumpy track there, to say the least. But, it kind of gets you driving. Whoa, you see old Chad Colt and Malik Ray both kind of simultaneously come out of turn two, and that thing almost stepped sideways. So, again, getting to the point here with tires. These things, man, are starting to just get medieval.
Yeah, they really are. It changes so much over the course of a run, and this track being as long as it is, lap times around here right now are in the 43-second bracket. Only a 90-lap race. We're used to seeing a lot of these races being 130 laps or so. And I tell you, so these tires fall off at a sooner lap number than it seems that you would expect in a lot of these tracks.
Yeah, and again, you got to account to the fact that we're on a 2-mile track. Normally, we've been on a couple 1.5 miles, and then obviously Daytona being a 2.5 mile. But this is kind of a in between, I guess, is what we'd say. A lot of bad fast speed though. And we're just watching right here, Thomas George. Just seeing what kind of speed he got. 190 before he had to kick it down. But on this front stretch right here is where you might be a little bit slower now since we've been on a little bit of older tires, but on this front stretch, this is where the amazing speed that they get. It's such a long, sweeping style front stretch here, but he's already at 195, 6, 7, 8, 9. He got up to 198 there, and that's on 28 old tires.
Yeah, it's kind of amazing because the track is shaped so much like Michigan, but less banking, older asphalts. It might as well race like a completely different world. It's so, the two tracks have a lot of similarities and a lot of differences, and so they see similar speeds at the end of the straightaway. California, they're having to slow those cars down a heck of a lot more, and as a driver, I kind of prefer that. California is a lot of fun to race.
Absolutely, and you're right, Tim. It is a great race so far. These guys are putting on a very good show out here, showing you what they can do. We're at lap 29 here, 90, and I agree with you there. This, to think about it, this track is kind of a mimic of what Michigan would be. I like that place. Not quite as much banking, like you said, to it, but as far as configuration-wise, they're close in stature. Speed-wise, definitely close, because these guys have hit 206 down that front stretch, and that's about what they hit at Michigan there also.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting how two tracks can be so similar and yet take totally different approaches. Because, yeah, 200 more than 205 down the front stretch in both of them. It's pretty crazy. They might have both been. I'm trying to remember if they were both Penske projects back in the 90s. I can't remember. I know Michigan was. I think California was too.
Well, they caught some 99s around. Boy, they were 4 wide back there. Harrison, let's go back on the replay here and watch. And I think a lot of guys were going into the pits. Some guys were actually lap down machines. And what happened was Glenn Campbell got caught up 4 wide in contact and then spun around. Him and I think Jose Gonzalez got together. Just kind of one of them victim of wrong place, wrong time. Kind of got stuck in between some lap down cars. I mean, they were, like I say, they were all just kind of jockeying around.
Yeah, really the hardest racing that you'll see anywhere at any time is right in the middle of that pack. It's like right outside the eye of the storm, pretty much.
And we're in the caution for the first time here tonight. Lap 31 and 90. So, we'll definitely see what we got going on here. And I'm gonna tell you, we're gonna have to fix the fact that I can't move anybody in this league. I was going to get a talk in with Chris to maybe find out how in the world to say his last name, but I am just curious, though. Just call me curious. Well, I don't see him in the team speak, so Hopefully he don't win the race. That would be Parker Clingerman. Well, I hope he wins the race. Let me rephrase that. Hope he wins the race. Hope he jumps into TeamSpeak so we can interview him.
Yeah, exactly. Or at least top 3.
Yeah, at least top 3. There you go. Yeah. I'm seeing him in here, so. Well, man, let me see who I can maybe pull up. I can't pull none of the darn Team Sim500 guys. I can't pull up Nick Timms. I'll tell you what, we're going to have to fix a lot of this stuff here.
Yeah, I'm not sure what to mess with the TeamSpeak in order to fix that. I definitely have the same problem myself as I've tried.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's just one of them wild things. It says I don't have permissions or something like that. But let's see. You know, anybody out there got? I have no clue. There's a guy in here called Hot Trash. I have no clue who that would be. So.
Maybe he's a celebrity. We're near Hollywood after all, right?
Yeah, there you go. Absolutely. Oh man. Man, I can't get none of the Team Sim500 guys up here. Wow.
Yeah, that's a bit baffling. Race off of pit road. DeBarro might have actually beat Clingerman off of pit road. It sure looks like it now. I thought Clingerman was about to pass him back for a second, but he was just catching up and then lifted as he caught up to DeBarro. Right now, a bunch of cars who had stayed out, I think one of which, a lot of these guys are a lap down or trapped a lap down or were tail. Yeah, a lot of these guys had made their pit stops under green, were running in the middle of the pack or back, and we're trying to take advantage of green flag. Just take an earlier pit stop to make use of those fresh tires, but it clearly didn't work out. But there is one driver here who I'm not sure if he's going to come down if he was looking to lead a lap.
Oh, sure. I'm trying to see if I can pull anybody in. You know what? We can get Anthony DeBarro up here. All right. Yeah, he's been up our running. Let's see what kind of car he's got here tonight. Good talking with him. How's that?
Sounds good to me.
Anthony DeBarro, Joe White in the booth. Got a copy?
How you doing, buddy?
Pretty good. Man, you got a bad, fast hot rod out there. Put it on pole here tonight. You got the car to put it in victory lane?
We'll see. It's all about keeping the rear tires under it, just getting a forward drive off. I mean, car's pretty tight in the center for everyone, but trying a couple different lines, and we'll see where it goes from here. Strategy is going to be key here. You can't make it to the end, so it's whoever pits first when the caution comes out. It's going to be luck of the draw here. A couple guys are even up here, so we'll see who gets out front.
It looks like you was down there with the Boomtown Sim guys.
Yes, sir.
All right. And the new team here is Sim500, doing a wonderful job out here right now. Well, what do you think about that guy in the rear view mirror of you, Parker Clingerman?
He was driving in a lot deeper than I was the corner, so I got to figure something out getting on the brakes, but we'll see. I think we got something for him if it goes green the rest of the way. I don't know about in the short run, because it's pretty good there. We'll see what happens. I'm just going to go for a top 5 here and get some good halfway points. Absolutely. Good deal. Well, again, good luck out there. Thank you. All right. That's Anthony DeBarro right there. Put it on pole here tonight. The man right there, he's sitting currently, well, I'm showing him in third. Chad Cole, Nicholas Cohan. Evidently, they're only on 3-lap old tires, so they must have came in. Well, they're not going to probably pit. They're only about 2-lap old tires than what those other guys are behind them.
Yeah, and you know, something he mentioned that has slipped my memory in recent races is halfway points. I mean, that has a major factor on the points race, and that's something that I forgot really is a factor here.
All right, folks, we got the fire analyst up here. I forgot too. Don't feel bad. You know, I'm supposed to keep up with the stuff too, but I you know what? I had no clue. So I mean, we really that definitely right there can make a difference here, because then we're looking at what, lap 45, so to speak, for the halfway.
Yeah, exactly. At the end of 45.
All right. Well, pace lights are off here. Harrison, you want to take us to the green this time?
Oh, sure thing. Right. But I tell you, these guys have their eyes set halfway's 11 laps to go. Chad Coleman out front. Nick Cohan, last week's winner, two-time pole sitter, two-time winner this season. Anthony DeBarro is going to be looking from third. Clingerman drove from the lead. He's going to have to come from fourth this time in that Folgers machine. Coors Light beneath him. Malik Ray, meanwhile, in fifth. Chad Coleman, he loves these racetracks. He doesn't like the restarts, but starting up front, pace car goes in. 82 cars waiting on the green flag. Waiting, and he's off. Good start, though, for Nick Cohan. And Anthony DeBarro trying to get that nose underneath the 57. Doesn't quite look like he's going to be able to get there, though.
Well, they head off into turn one with a storm of heat right now as Chad Cole out front, the Transervice machine. He's got a whole back deck litter, the 57 of Nicholas Cohan. And then you got Anthony DeBarro right there looking on the inside. The 57s are out of two.
Yeah, and Anthony DeBarro cuts underneath the 57 of Cohan, side by side down the back, as Chad Cole takes a huge arc entering turn three there, starts going up the racetrack. Look at how Anthony DeBarro was just able to run that bottom. Big momentum coming out of turn number four. Going to go to the outside of Chad Cole. That's the battle for the lead.
Yes, it is. Battle for the lead, and they're almost three wide back there behind him, but Anthony's going to the high side. He's going to try to see if he can't go around him. Gets a good arc coming out of the turn, and he might be able to take a slingshot maneuver as they come out of, I believe, turn four here and take that spot away from him, out of turn two down the back stretch, and he does put it to the point.
Yeah, and DeBarro's led a lot of laps in this one, as we're more than a third of the way into this one. And like I said, just 10 laps to go from halfway. When we hit the line, it'll be 9. And DeBarro in control once again. And a couple of the guys who are really putting pressure on him throughout that last run, Malik Ray right now working underneath Cohan for third. Clingerman side by side under attack from the 96 of Rollo, and that would be for fifth. And so these guys, they got to play with a little more traffic. I tell you, it pays off dividends to be able to get to that lead quickly and then start driving at your own pace.
Absolutely. Looks like a lot of these guys up here definitely want to battle for that 45-lap mark here, the halfway, which is something new I guess we got to talk about now, because now it's almost like a thing. Look at the 51 or 57 of Nicholas Cohan. Excuse me, I get it out. Nick Cohan. He went way down to the apron there, got back up, and almost shot up the track into Malik Ray.
Yeah, Malik Ray. There was a big contact there coming out of down the backstretch, and Malik Ray did a great job saving it. But I mean, this track is just unbelievable for the way it fans out. 3 wide down the front, Clingerman, Cohan, Malik Ray, Clingerman on the bottom. Who's going to have it here entering turn one?
Looks like Nick, man, got that middle lane going, got it there. And that's the thing, this track you can do 3 wide, but boy, these cars right here for third, fourth, and fifth place spot, you've got Nicholas Cohan, Parker Clingerman, Malik Ray, Mitch Rollo are all on top of it in a bullfight right now.
Yeah, Clingerman drives it into turn number 3, puts it right on that white line, straddling the seam as the 57 of Cohan, that target machine, tries to get that big run off the high side coming down the front stretch. Malik doesn't know who to work with, tucks down on the bottom of Clingerman. Momentum advantage to the 57 of Cohan, but, you know, he's got the longer way around here in turns 1 and 2. Clingerman again drives deep into turn number 1, and look at that, clears Cohan. Gonna hope to have the room here coming up out of turn 2, which he does. So Clingerman up to third, Cohan into fourth, Malik Ray losing some momentum down the back, having to come off low, and that allows the 96 of Mitch Rollo to get alongside him on the outside.
That's what we saw beforehand here before the caution, the low line, almost contact between the 96 and the 1, Malik Ray and Mitch Rollo, as they came up there very close side draft. But we saw that high to middle line come into play. The low line went away after the tires wore out. Now you'll see these guys fan out a little bit going down the straights and back stretch, because this place is awful wide. And again, we talk about Michigan. You can do it there too. But hey, for only lap 40, nobody gave these guys the memo that it's still got a long way to go in the race. They think it's the last lap.
Oh yeah, and you know, while you'd like to think maybe the halfway points are on these guys' minds, which it is, but it doesn't change how you're going to race too much, because you're still thinking big picture. I got to win this race. I got to have tires on it so I can do this, you know, do the best I can over the course of this longer run. You know, people aren't going to drive their car into the ground because we're not going to get a caution at halfway. They're going to keep it green if it stays green. And so, you know, it's really interesting what it does to the driver's strategies, how they approach that.
Yeah, absolutely. Good run by Rick McBride right now. He's looking good. Corbin Hemstreet. So the Boomtown Street guys are having a field day here. They got Corbin in 8th spot, Anthony DeBarro out front.
Not sure. Sean Bounty in 17th. And I'm not sure about the other gentleman. Jared, I think he's just a spotter, if I'm not mistaken. But who's the other one out there? Mitch Rollo, he's in the top 10 there, also sitting in 6th.
Yeah, Rollo has been kind of right there, not getting into the, not hanging too much in the top 5, but right there alongside of him, and he's clearly got a lot of speed. One of the teammates to Anthony Navarro, and Corbin Hemstreet also qualified in the top 10, running 8th. And I haven't said his name, I think, yet this evening, but you know, he's been right there this entire race too. Just kind of every time I go to him, he's been an 8th so far. And right behind him, by the way, Mike Kelly started 23rd. He's up to 9th.
Good mover right there in the number 2 machine, Mike Kelly. He's trying to trail. We got a car spinning. Don't see what that was. I saw the smoke somewhere.
Nick Cohan. Wow, I can't believe that wasn't a caution. Malik Ray and Nick Cohan got into it. Malik Ray tried to dive underneath him entering the corner, and I guess you could say he missed getting underneath him. Nick Cohan, I swear that was going to be a wreck, but unbelievable save from the 57 driver.
Let's go back on the replay here, see if we can catch what happened. Yeah, contacting. Oh, he did an awesome drift job there. Wow, you're right. That was just a awesome feat of control for that 57 machine.
Yeah, unbelievable. Like, really phenomenal driving. Unfortunate for him now, though, that, you know, those tires took a beating in that, and now he's under attack from all these guys around him, currently side by side with Mike Kelly, who's, I just pointed out, came from 23rd, well inside the top 10 right now. Mike Kelly is one of those drivers where, you know, he's been struggling a little bit in qualifying as far as I've seen, but he's always a factor of the race. He just drives up there. Yeah,
so far so good. Well, don't look now. I'm going to tell you what, Parker Clingerman is running down our leader up front. And I know Anthony alluded to it on the interview when we talked to him on the caution there. He said he feels like that Parker might have a better short run car, but I'm kind of maybe seeing the opposite. What are you seeing out there? Looks like he's running him down the longer we go.
Yeah, it's interesting because I start wondering if Anthony Navarro was maybe even still pacing himself as deep as we went on that run. I'm not exactly sure how far they would have gone on tires there had we stayed green the entire time when those leaders would have come down pit road, because, you know, only a portion of those drivers hit pit road. And so I do wonder what the strategy was there. But yeah, Clingerman, I mean, he got the lead pretty late in that run. So.
And we're seeing it again. He started in 4th, and he's slowly but surely moving his way up front. And now it looks like one lap, one of them's faster, the other lap's another faster. They're within about a half-tenth of each other, so they're kind of swapping each other. You got Chad Cole right there behind them. Malik Ray, though, is another one that's coming up here pretty fast. He's in the 41s, along with Mitch Rollo, so maybe keep your eye out as to see Malik Ray moving on the inside of Chad Cole to take over the 3rd place spot.
And something that just came to my mind with Malik Ray, where he hasn't gotten to victory lane yet this season, but he's been there every time. I'm willing to bet Malik Ray has actually much more experience driving the Xfinity cars and the trucks. I don't know that for sure. If we talk to him later, that's something I might have to jot down here to remember to ask him. But he might be adjusting to this Cup car, because I don't know that I've seen him run it all that much.
Absolutely. Right now, you know, Chad Cole's looking pretty good, so he's hanging up there in the 4th place spot. You got Mitch Rollo right behind him, Corbin Hemstreet there along in the 6th place. Brake McBride's up in the 7th. Kind of nose to tail. Brian Boris Cook's another one that's moving up. He was way back in the 20-some position right now, and he's up in the 14th.
Yeah, he was not the qualifying run that he was looking for. And I tell you, in that battle these guys are having in the middle of the pack this entire race has been a lot of fun to watch. Right in front of Cook, EJ just made a move on Nelson Rivera, another one of those Penske-looking machines. And EJ qualified 20th. And has not gone backwards. He's been battling these guys, but right now, battling for 12th. Doesn't look like he's going to get it out of turn 4 that time. Nelson Rivera with a nice run down the front stretch. The Papa's Hardware machine trying to get 12th from him, but both of those drivers moving forward from the start.
So far, so good. E.J. O'Rourke's in the mix right there also. Brian Boris Cook, Scott Simley, Rick Thompson. So about 4 machines right there. You got the 22, Nelson Riviera. He's moving it up. The 41, E.J. O'Rourke looks on the inside.
can't quite get that crossover moved. Here comes Brian Boris Cook. Well, he is on the inside of 22. He's going to try to take that spot away.
Yeah, and Scott Simley right behind him, too, right in frame. That 12-car Simley started 34th up to 15th. Rick Thompson in 16th started 30th. Big slide from Simley, though, coming out of turn 4. That's going to help out Rivera and Cook, who just sorted that out. Cook gets in front of Rivera, and so that's 2 spots lost there in a pretty brief amount of time for Rivera, but still within the top 15.
Yeah, so far so good. You know, as far as Glenn Campbell, hate to see that earlier on in the other Transervice machine out here. Just got caught up in a little incident. Ed Burrell back there trying to run into 21st, just kind of looking back here. Joey Katina, really haven't talked much about him in the Sim500 machine. Way back in the 32nd position right now. Kind of off of it. And Mr. 9-time. We always got those 9-time out here. Nick Timms, and I always give him a hard time about that last name because, folks, it's not spelled Timms. It's spelled Thames, and I always called him Nick Famous. Maybe he is Nick Famous. There you go.
Famous. I like that.
Yeah.
That's a name I never got right either. I don't. I'm about to exhibit some ignorance here, but is that Irish?
You know what? I have no clue. I really haven't ever talked to him. Need to maybe talk to him after the race and find out. You know, it's just kind of one of them running funny joke things that we go off back and forth. Good guy though, Nick is. Not the night that he wants though. He's back at 30th place spot. Again, this track here though, I think this is more. It is a momentum style track. It does, like you mentioned earlier about Michigan. It reminds me a lot of what Michigan is, and it definitely is just one of these tracks where you just got to have the momentum on your side.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. And as you were talking about that, I was riding along with Nick Timms, who was really sideways coming out of turn 4. And I tell you, these guys, DeBarro was talking about it, forward drive off. You know, they're all tight in the center, but it's not much grip on exit when they put that gas pedal down to the floor. And that's an easy way to lose momentum, is just get a little bit loose. It's unbelievable how much time you could lose by just getting that little bit sideways on exit.
The biggest difference I see between this track and Michigan is when you come into turn number 3 and 4, the sweeping style turn to head to the start finish line, you don't go all the way to the bottom line. You kind of stay one groove up. If you go too low, you'll get loose. If you go too high in that turn, you'll get pushing up the track. Here, it seems like you can take the middle groove or put it down on that white line. So that's the biggest difference I'm seeing between this track and Michigan. Now, 1 and 2, they look about identical. If you put it on down there, the left tires on the white line, let it arc on and come flying off the turn, coming down turn 2 to get the momentum. But the biggest difference I'm seeing is that turn 3 and 4 between the two style tracks.
Yeah, it really is a corner that I don't know that it drives like anything else I've ever driven on. There's some similarities to Kentucky, even though Kentucky being a mile and a half, it's a little different track geometry there coming through the corner, but it's a similar feel. And you know, it's an interesting feeling when you're really walking it up the hill kind of early and you're just knowing, you know, hoping that you're going to keep it off the wall, really. Yep,
absolutely. Well, it seems like Anthony DeBarro, he's moving away just a little bit on Parker Clingerman right there. They are still close to each other. Parker ran a, they're both in the 42s, and he ran a 7:35 to a 7:99 of Anthony. But it seems like, one lap, Anthony will run faster. Like he ran an 8:34. Parker ran a 7:58. So they're right there within each other, within about a half tenth or so amongst each other. So not a lot of gaining ground on each other.
Nah, it really has stayed about even, and it kind of looks like that for a lot of these guys. Kind of glancing at the lap times real quick, Parker was a little bit faster that lap. Malik Ray ran exactly what the leader ran. Mitch Rollo, second fastest car in the top 5 that time. I was wondering about that because I thought that 96 car had been gaining a little bit of ground, just judging by the intervals on the top of the screen.
Yeah, no doubt about it. A good run so far these guys are putting on. Corbin Hemstreet sitting up in the 6th place spot. Mike Kelly right there behind him in 7th. Rick McBride sitting in 8th. As we got a good free field here. 39 machines started at 3 cars out. Timothy Johnson, Steve Goschalk, and Mike Matisse. Now, Steve Goschalk, did he even start? Because I didn't even see what happened on his end.
Yeah, I'm not sure. 33 laps ago, which makes me wonder if it was maybe a product of not being able to run this whole race even. I didn't see what happened to him, and had to reload the game in the middle of this race, actually, so I didn't catch, I'm not able to go back
Yeah.
and see.
Yeah, I'm with you. I don't know what happened on his end there, but unfortunate for him. Like you said, we're sitting 35 laps down, back in 38th spot. Another one here that has lost a lot of ground so far. That would actually be Jose Gonzalez. He's back in the 17th place spot. He's trying to move back up. He's on the back end of Rick Thompson right now for the 16th spot, trying to move up. He hit the wall earlier on and had to go in pit early. I think that caution might have helped him out just a little bit.
Yeah, it's interesting because on the one hand, he might be in that game because of that caution, but also the caution probably put him to where he was starting way in the back too. And so, but it also allowed him, if he had more damage to fix, he could have gone down there and gotten it all taken care of during that yellow. But big gain forward. Right now working on Rick Thompson, I believe. Yep, that's the 76 of Rick Thompson. Got loose at a turn 4 just that little bit. Held on to it. Jose Gonzalez gets alongside and is going to take that 15th spot. There was a different driver who just cut down pit road right in front of them.
You know, folks, and here's the thing. We talk about points, and I know everybody's like, well, it's a long season, Joe. Why do you want to start talking about points? Because they actually split this series up into different, it's like 12 race style series. Every point matters. They're going to actually have a 12 series, and we're coming up on that here in about another month or so here, Harris. So we only got probably about another, 7, 8 races to go before we're done with kind of like, let's say, first half of the season. How's that?
Yeah, it's interesting how it's almost like how NASCAR divides up a race with stage 1, 2, and 3. It's pretty much the exact same thing that's going on here, only they're following the NASCAR schedule. So you've got 36 races, I believe, and divided into 12, just like you said. And it pays to do well in each and every segment, and it's good incentive to show up every week, not just focus on making the chase, but focus on winning everything.
Absolutely. Right now, a good battle. Parker is gaining on Anthony very, very slowly, but we are getting down to where we would have some green flag pit stops. Malik Ray's another one that I'm watching because he's actually faster than both of them. Not by a lot, maybe about a couple hundredths there, but he is slowly but surely climbing up there. Again, catching, passing, that's two different things here at this track.
Yeah, and Malik Ray, I feel like I'm almost a broken record when I say this, but I'm always kind of impressed by how methodical he is, because I used to think of him as more aggressive, and maybe he used to be, or maybe my perception just changed, but I feel like Malik Ray, he can be really aggressive, but he's so smart about it. He's so methodical. As the leaders are going down pit road, DeBarro and Clingerman, Ray actually stays out on the track, and he's going to lead this lap. 31 to go for Ray, and so those guys decide to pit then. They're going to have a gap on Malik Ray when Ray comes out, but you know what? You stay out a lap longer, you have a lap fresher tires, and sometimes that's what you want at the end of these races.
Absolutely. Saw it the other night in a race we did. Guys, a gentleman, man, he did the same scenario, was able to stay out, had a little bit, about 10 lap newer tires. Paid off for him at the end of the race here as we're watching these guys storming the pit road. See what they do. Obviously, get 4 tires and fuel. It'll be 30 to go this time by here, lap 60 of 190. Looks like Parker and Anthony both in the pit. Parker gets his pit stop done. Anthony, he's got that good pit road position there, so he's going to win the battle off pit road. And Parker's going to come out right behind him as these guys, men, are going to get back on pit road here, folks, and get going as we got green flag pit stops for the. I'm gonna say for the first time we had a couple guys do a couple green flag pit stops early on, but really kind of the first time here.
Yeah, it's been interesting. We had that caution that really was almost a perfect timing earlier on in the race, and I think that was the only caution this race. And wow, Parker Clingerman just made up so much ground entering turn 3, just decided to throw it in there to try to make up that ground that DeBarro seemed to have made exiting the pits. And Clingerman's right there instantly. But these guys know they're racing for the win. They're passing Malik Ray here. Malik's on the apron there in 1 and 2. Wow. Malik Ray kind of came close to that white line, brought it back down though. I was worried for a second. But Malik actually lost less ground than I thought. Malik probably had a faster pit road than them, stayed on old tires for longer, lost ground that way. And he really didn't lose anything on these leaders.
Absolutely not. Now, the one thing we got to keep in mind here is even though these guys might be battling it out, is they still got about 28 laps to go. Those tires are going to wear down. You got to keep that in the back of your mind as the race would go on towards the end here, because you look between Parker there and Anthony DeBarro. You know, we think it might be eventually a battle for the lead, but right now they're back in 16th and 15th spot as Parker's all over the back deck lid of him. Chad Coleman, the man up front, yet to make a pit stop. Now, a caution would just mess up everything.
Yeah, a lot of those guys, I think, are thinking caution, really. But Clingerman goes by DeBarro. That's for 15th, as you just said. But might as well be the lead battle as long as pit stops cycle through. But this is interesting because DeBarro let him go pretty quickly once Clingerman got alongside. DeBarro has his own pace that he wants to run, that he thinks is what he needs to do to win this race, to keep his tires fresh enough to be able to get back by Clingerman. Clingerman also has had a lot of speed this entire race, so it feels like a dangerous thing. But you also don't want to get into that situation where you're racing too hard.
You know, and I'm going to agree with you on that one. I would think, we go off about what Anthony said in the interview there earlier on. He said he feels like he has a better long-run car, but I got to just bring it up because what we're seeing on the track doesn't represent what he is seeing. We're actually seeing Parker have a better long-run car than him as he's able to run him down as the road goes on. So what you just said right there, Harrison, very good point. Maybe a dangerous move for him to let him go in front of him.
Yeah, and Parker didn't get quite to the bottom of 1 and 2 there, and you kind of cringe from where you're like, oh God, I feel the pain of the right front tire in a corner like that when you see someone get tight. But so DeBarro making up ground on 1 and 2 that time, and Malik Ray, by the way, with a lap fresher on the tires, is all over the 5 with DeBarro, and probably doesn't have to push quite as hard. Maybe he has to push like 10% less as hard. But Malik Ray now working underneath DeBarro. That's for like 12th or 13th right now as people just continue to pit up front. But these drivers are all on the lead lap. They are not a lap down. They're currently 27 seconds behind the leader.
Absolutely. What's up, Michelle? How you doing out there? Well, right now, E.J. O'Rourke is the man out front. Brian Boris Cook. Again, we're cycling through green flag pit stops, or lap 66 here, 90. Looks to be about, I'm going to say about 9 to 10 right now who have not made a pit stop. Sean Bounty's up there, Michael Prester, Thomas George, Patrick Colby, Casey Duncan, Nick Timms, Bobby Wetzel, Glenn Campbell. So the top 10 guys right now have yet to make a pit stop. So we'll cycle through here. We'll just have to see what happens as the race goes on. Then we'll just have to keep an eye on back there, 11th, 12th, and 13th, which is Parker Clingerman, Malik Ray, Anthony DeBarro, Mitch Rollo and company, who, again, if it cycles around, well, they should be up front.
Yeah, and it's not a bad move for some of those guys. We were talking about Nick Timms, and this has been a rough race for him, and he was running about 30th when we last saw him, and so it's a situation where, why not stay out as long as you can, and if you catch that yellow, even if you fall into 15th, 18th, you come in 15th, 18th with 4 fresh tires with everybody else instead of coming out 30th, and so it's not a bad gamble to make if it's been a rough race.
Well, you got Michael on the inside of Sean Bounty. He's going to try to take that 3rd place spot away. He thought about it for a second. And the one thing we talk about caution, you don't want to be the caution, though.
Yeah, absolutely. Michael Priester coming to pit road right there from 4th, actually, after that battle from Sean Bounty. Bounty stays out, though. But that's another thing. You don't want to be the caution. It's easier to be it with those old tires. It's the worst the car is going to drive all race is the oldest those tires are. And the longer you stay out, well, you're staying out longer than you originally intended to. And so that's a real risk. Yeah,
no doubt. Well, E.J. O'Rourke still leading this one out front. He's on 36 old lap tires. Just to give you an idea, folks, between the times he's running, 43.629 to Parker Clingerman, Malik Ray, and Anthony DeBarro, they're running 41.7. That's almost 2 seconds a lap quicker.
I really goes to show just how much tires mean, as Clingerman right now side by side with Malik Ray for 9th or 10th position as they're working around slower traffic right now. Glenn Campbell, who's got a lot of damage from that earlier wreck. Malik Ray got around Clingerman, not something I would have predicted to happen right now. So that's big right here in this battle.
You know, we've seen Malik do it, and like you said, be aggressive. But it seems like his strategy has changed here with this cup machine. I call them the monster machines out here. They're a lot more, you got to be more finesse with these machines. You can't be as aggressive out here. And we've seen his driving style change. And maybe he was just sitting back there in the weeds just watching those guys up there. And now he's just kind of made it up and said now it's time to turn the wick up. And he's showing what he's got here at the closing laps. Got 20 to go. And what is surprising me is the top 8 guys right now not pitting.
Yeah, they're really, they made their bed and they're sitting in it right now, or however the phrase goes. I think I just did it wrong, but they really got to ride that strategy out and just hope it works out, even though I tell you, it really doesn't look like that strategy is going to work at this point.
No, it don't. I mean, you gotta think eventually what's going to happen here. EJ O'Rourke still up front. Appreciate that, Michelle, out there. Awesome. But I tell you what, right now, Malik Ray, they're going through some of that back end traffic, so they have caught them. Just to give you an idea, they're only 14 seconds back from the leader, and at the pace they're catching them, I mean, they're catching them in about 2 seconds or more a lap. It won't take but about another 10 to 12 laps, and they'll be right there past the leader.
Yeah, the fall off has been a lot more significant than I predicted, really, and it's been crazy just how much these cars have slowed down with that rough drive off. As I've been continuing to watch Malik Ray as he chases down those leaders, and he and Clingerman are kind of breaking even right now on the interval, but they're two very different approaches. Clingerman gets to the bottom pretty early. Malik kind of rides a seam higher, a full groove higher until about the center of the corner, then comes down a little bit. Malik Ray is just high around the whole track, which makes me wonder if the track has changed a little bit and Malik found a groove that he really likes.
And once you see a guy change your line or something like that, definitely go along with it. Sometimes it's faster. The man who was falling off the pace, though, Anthony DeBarro, who had a bad fast machine earlier on. And when I say falling off the pace, he's falling off, lap time-wise by about almost 2/10 from Malik Ray and Parker Clingerman. Those two guys up there definitely are looking good, but right now EJ O'Rourke still out front, not come in. He's been out for 40 laps along with Brian Boris Cook, Thomas George, Sean Bounty. Those top 4 guys have been over 40 laps now on their tires. Malik Ray is up to 5th place. He was 14 seconds there, Harrison. Now he's 10 seconds back from him.
And I feel bad for EJ O'Rourke. Well, he is making his own bed right here with this move, but it's not like EJ was running 30th where he had to do a Hail Mary to try to get himself a decent finish. He had driven up to 12th. And so that makes the strategy even more baffling for EJ. He really needs a caution, or this is going to be a rough finish for considering his performance was not bad.
No, it wasn't, and you're right. I mean, you got to look at that too, because even if he plans, play a second, even if he plans for the last 15 laps to stay out, or maybe try to get that also caution with the 5 or 4 laps to go and end it, he's still, at the rate that Malik is running him down, he's just Malik's now down to 8 seconds. He is definitely running him down very quickly. He'll be there and passing.
Yeah, start wondering about what the fuel window could possibly be. I don't think he would be able to make it on fuel. But how much longer could he go?
Yeah. I don't know. Do they run 100%? I can't remember if they do here or not. I don't think they do. I think it's 7.
I'm questioning that myself because my instincts wanted to say they do, but for a lot of the other series they don't. They might not run 100% for this one either.
Yeah, I'm right. Well, Michael Guest out there in the chat. What's on, Michael? I tell you what, miss you out here racing with these guys, man. That's the man right now, Malik Ray. He just turned it up here, the closing parts, and he's outrunning the man right here, Parker Clingerman, who had a very bad fast car along with Anthony DeBarro. But Malik Ray, he is coming and coming in a charge. He's 6 seconds back from the leader right now. E.J. O'Rourke, who is, he just, I mean, it's pretty much a given unless a caution flies now that Malik's going to run the leader down and pass him.
Oh, absolutely. They'll be there before we know it. Right now, down to about 5.5 seconds. EJ still staying out there. And if he catches a caution, I mean, it's going to do wonders for his race, but it really doesn't. I think we've only had one caution on the whole evening. And
we have. Yeah, let's
so,
give you a quick race summary right fast there, Harrison. E.J. O'Rourke's out front. We're completed 75 of 190, 7 lead changes, and you're right, 1 caution.
Yeah, so that, I mean, it doesn't bode well for EJ's hopes here. He's doing all he can, and you almost feel helpless at this point because, you know, if you pit now, it's going to make no difference really than if you pit, you know, a couple laps from now when you really need to. He needs that yellow more than anything. It's already down to 4.3 seconds, him to Malik Ray, who's in 3rd now, by the way.
The only time I think a caution might really benefit E.J. O'Rourke is if it happens, like I say, with 5 to go. Then the race pretty much is over with at that point, and he wins by default. I know it's not how he wants to win, but sometimes you got to pull these things out the best way you can. But I don't know. Malik Ray's down to 3 seconds on him, and he's got at least another, looks like 8 laps to go before that 5-lap cycle.
Yeah, and yeah, he won't even be able to hold off Malik Ray before that 5 to go, as you said. And I wonder how far does it? I don't know if he loaded up some extra fuel lines in that thing, or
maybe he's got an extra tank in there we don't know about, because he is definitely he's definitely got a bad he's fast out there. I'll give credit, hats off to EJ. Now another thing that we got to think about here, even though if he doesn't win the race, coming out of here with a good finish, again, you know, I mean, points of a value. I mean, we're talking about there's 39 machines out here. This is a risk reward type of gamble. He could run out of fuel before the end of the race and end up way back in 29th, 30th position, or he could end up maybe in a good top 5, top 10.
Yeah, it's hard to make those gambles too, because you know how they can look if they turn bad, and I'm just doing the math in my head, and I just don't see how he could have enough fuel to make it to the finish. So I'm just expecting him to pull on the pit road pretty quickly here, and but I don't know when. I'm wondering.
Yeah, I'm with you there too. I just don't. I think here he comes down on pit road.
That's a lonely place to be right now, because he knows he needed that yellow to fall, and it's not a bad guess, because, you know, how many times are you in a race and that caution falls, you know, during a pit stop cycle or something like that? You know, usually you don't get just one caution in a race, but in Sim500, it's always that risk. You know, we've seen a lot of these races stay green for a long time.
Yeah, and you're absolutely right. I mean, you know, Phoenix, obviously just one of those bad tracks, but the Auto Club here has been a very, very good one. The Daytona race was not that bad. Atlanta race was actually pretty good, so it's been an off and on, hit and miss type of deal. The only thing, E.J. O'Rourke is, you know, he's going to drop all the way to 25th. He might be able to make up a few spots before the end of this one, as we're going to have 9 to go. But that man right there, Malik Ray, he has picked up the pace here and is definitely out front. Parker Clingerman is losing ground by 1 point some odd seconds. And you've got to think Anthony DeBarro back there behind him has fallen off the pace in 3rd place spot.
Yeah, and just because I've been harsh on EJ, I do want to point out one thing is, you know, if he caught a caution at any point in the last, you know, 15 laps, he would have been the guy out front controlling the restart with a car that was pretty fast enough to be there. And so he could have won this race had just one thing gone different, and that's what he was going for there. But yeah, Malik Ray over a second over Parker Kligerman. DeBarro, I've seen him kind of make some gains on the leaders here the last couple laps, but he's kind of settled out to exactly where he is. He has his teammate behind him in 4th, another teammate in 7th, Corbin Hemstreet. Good run for him. And these guys are running out of time. Kligerman's making up some ground on Malik Ray, but right now he's racing with some lap cars with fresher rubber, and so that doesn't help.
No, it doesn't. I'm watching it. It seems like Parker, he's doing what he's done all along here. As the laps wind down, he gets faster. Those lap machines definitely won't help, but they'll also catch Malik and slow him down a little bit. As we cross the line here, we'll see what Malik got. Yeah, you can see that the lap car slowed him down just a touch. But again, they'll get up there and slow Malik down, so it'll help him out. He's got enough time. He's close enough. He's a second back. He just needs one little mess up maybe by Malik and maybe to get back up there.
Yeah, and it's not out of the question. Those two lap cars are, they have the fresh rubber. They're battling for 27th right now. Now they're trying to figure out a way to get around Malik. And it looks like Colby going to be boxed in behind Malik. EJ O'Rourke gets the big run on the outside. Colby tries to get there on the outside coming out of turn 4, but the groove isn't quite there, and he lifts. And so EJ able to get by Malik without really affecting him that much. Colby looks like he might be backing off here.
Yeah, and that's and we see the reverse there. Parker was faster that time. Malik was a little slower, so it just goes to show you how the lap traffic does play a factor when they go around, because you can't quite use the same groove that you're normally using out here. I want to see if Parker can actually move it in. I don't know. Malik definitely has a bad fast machine, and I think he's got it if he can just hang on to it for another, well, 5-6 laps.
Yeah, he could be more than a tenth slower right now per lap and hold on. Not by much, though, and obviously all it takes is one mistake.
Harrison, I tell you what, just notice Mitch Rollo looks like a disconnect. And he was fast all night long.
That's a shame. He was 4 seconds out of the lead in 4th. And I guess internet problems or computer problem or something, but that's frustrating. That's especially, it's been a quick race, only one caution, just to not get to the finish when you've done that good of a job. I mean, that's heartbreaking.
Absolutely. And that's another thing too. If you get a lap down here with it only being, the cautions really wouldn't matter at this point, it'd be over with, but with it only being one caution, trying to get that lap back is so frustrating. But man, just hate to see that, because he's falling all the way to 32nd position. Just notice it on the screen there. Hate to see it on his end. Good run by Chad Cole, though. He's up to 4th place spot.
Yeah, solid all race long. Qualified, I think, exactly in 4th. And we saw him up front for a little while there. Holding station in 4th right now. Mike Kelly in 5th, a second behind Cole. He started in 23rd, and without cautions to really help him out, I mean, Kelly, man, if his qualifying picks up, look out, because he has some serious speed on these long runs.
Yeah, if he can just figure that out, you're right. The qualifying part, because he's definitely consistent enough to be up there. And the old saying is, consistency, it wins championships here. Not all about winning, but winning does help, and he does have the car and talent to get it done. So I'm going to say he's probably our biggest mover of the race so far. Mike Kelly up into the 5th place spot.
Yeah, and actually, as I look down the order, another shout out, Scott Simley is into the top 10 now, and he started 34th. And so that's a big move.
He's smiling.
Yeah, I looked at, I was seeing how he was doing when he was running about 30th near the start of the race, and he played it really conservative at the start. He was very careful. He didn't want to get involved in some craziness, because he knows just how dangerous it could be to be battling in the middle of the pack early on. You almost expect an early yellow before you find a rhythm of the race. It never really came in this one, but I tell you, up to 9th from 34th, that's not easy to do.
No, it's not. Tell you what, lap traffic hindered Malik there a little bit. Don't know if it's going to pay dividends for Parker or not with 3 to go. As you see, he closed in within about a half a second.
Yeah, Parker at the same time was getting a little bit loose out of turn 2. Thomas George goes on the outside. Lap car with newer tires, pitted late. And he's going to be catching up to Malik Ray here in a second. So Parker's hoping that Malik gets held up by Thomas George. Meanwhile, Sean Bounty also joining this battle. A lot of fresh rubber around these leaders. Makes it a bit hairy.
Yes, it does. I'm watching this right now. Well, I tell you, and you got to be the leader. And hey, those lap cars, they got the right to race too, as long as they're not getting up there beating and banging with the leaders and whatnot. And they are passing them clean, but it's throwing Malik Ray's line off that these guys are taking away from him. Parker right now about 4/10 is going to come to the white flag. So he's going to try to get up on the back deck lid there, Malik.
And Parker made up a lot of ground in that last half a lap. Malik got loose out of 2, drove turns 3 and 4 a bit conservative, and Clingerman made up a lot of ground. This looks like 2+ tenths from the previous lap. And so they take the white flag right now. Not too much traffic to deal with at the moment. You'd figure if someone's catching up with Parker right now, they might back out of the way, but Clingerman's driving it deep into these corners.
Yes, he is, driving it hard there in the turn number 1 and 2. Out of the bad stretch here they come for the final time here at Auto Club. And this man right here, Malik Ray, he's in command coming down the bad stretch.
Yeah, Parker just wishes he was a little bit closer to do something. He's not close enough to do much, but he drives it into turn 3, trying to make anything happen here. But Malik, too solid right there. He went in easy, has the momentum coming off.
And out of turn 4 for the final time here, Malik Ray is holding off the charge of Parker Clingerman and is going to win here at Auto Club Speedway for the Sim500 Monday Night Money Series presented by Transervice. Man, what a race. 1 caution all night long. These guys put on a show. Remember, Malik, he's they're saying, heck with it, we're going to tear them up now.
Yeah, that was a celebratory drift gone bad there for a second.
Absolutely. Man, I tell you what a race. My hat's off to these guys out here all race long. 1 caution, 39 cars on the field here tonight to pull this thing off. And man, I just don't know what else to say about it. Awesome run.
Yeah, at a track this wide, you hope, and you know that it's possible that you might get into that green flag rhythm, and you just hope that it happens. And it's still a pleasant surprise anywhere you go. It could happen every week, and it would still feel like a pleasant surprise every time.
Absolutely. A few of these guys up here get a talk in with them.
Yeah, among our podium, we have Anthony DeBarro, who sat on the pole this race. Finished 3.5 seconds out of the lead. Clingerman part-time in this series. Malik Ray got his first win with the Cup car this season, and he's the defending champ twice. He's the only guy who's won the Monday Night Money Championship so far this year.
Absolutely.
Or I'm sorry, not this year, but so far since the division was created.
Oh, okay. Well, we'll go ahead and get a talk in here with our 3rd place man. I know Malik usually jumps up in here. Not sure Parker's going to jump in here or not, but if he does, we'll get to talk in with him too. Let's go ahead and bring up Anthony DeBarro, our 3rd place man here tonight. Let's get talking with him, Harris.
I'm here with Anthony DeBarro, and Anthony, I believe that was your 2nd pole of the year. Ran in the top 5 all night, really among that lead battle all night, and wasn't able to come away with the victory, but 3rd place, make some stage points there at the halfway. That's a great points night.
Yeah, it feels good. Had some bad luck last couple of weeks, but I mean, I don't know what happened. I could have done different. I think I took a little too less fuel and had too much nose weight on the car there, and I was just pushing to snap loose. I couldn't do anything more than I did there. Lucky to end up 3rd. It was a good run otherwise, and we're going to Martinsville and try to survive. You know what happened there.
Yeah, and with this race only having 1 caution, I know sometimes it's easy to kind of anticipate cautions breaking up the momentum of the race. And how did that change how you approach the various runs throughout this one, since only having that 1 caution around lap 30?
Not much, really. You really run the same way. In this, you can't really save too much here. You're going to be running 10 before you know it, so you got to just manage what you can, your gaps, and try to save a little bit of the rear tires here. But he did a pretty good job at out running P3. I think is any week like that.
Yeah, absolutely. And looking ahead, you mentioned Martinsville, trying to survive that one, but the shorter tracks in general, do you like the Richmond, the Martinsville, all of that coming up?
Everywhere but Martinsville. Sam can't seem to finish there. I think that's part of my doing though. But Richmond we're really good at, and Bristol, that's one of my favorite tracks.
Oh, maybe this Martinsville breaks the trend, but we appreciate you joining us up here. Congrats on a podium finish here tonight, and anyone you'd like to thank?
Oh, the guys at Boomtown Sim, everyone does a great job. We had a good run going. I feel bad for Mitch. He dropped out with like 8 to go, so running 4th, it's pretty bad.
Yeah, definitely. We appreciate you joining us, and yeah, we noticed the same thing to run fourth. That's a tough break for a teammate car. Congrats again to you, and thanks for joining us up here.
Thank you.
All right, third place man Anthony DeBarro did everything he could to maybe try to pull the victory off here tonight. Couldn't quite get it done. Well, we'll just go ahead and make note. Our second place man Parker Clingerman. He's not in the chat here, so won't be able to get a talk.
There he is.
Oh, is he here? Oh, okay. Well, then there we go. Parker Clingerman jumping up in here in the booth with us, finishing out in second place tonight here at Auto Club. Harrison, let you get a talk in with him.
Yeah, Parker, it's been a rough start to the season here so far. I know you've been part-time, haven't made all these, and it seems like the ones you have made, something goes wrong, so it has to feel good to be able to run this one out and race for the win.
Definitely. I'd say it's been fun being a part of the Sim500 league this year, and it's obviously a very competitive league, and the ones I have showed up in, I've struggled maybe to even run in the top 5, or felt like that was my the top, my ceiling, so to speak. But this was fun because I felt like I was probably one of the top 2 cars, and Malik was just able to get me there through the green flag stops, and I just couldn't run him back down. So congrats to him. That was a lot of fun, and it's now 21 of these Sim500 races I've done, and I still haven't won one. So I'm hoping to end that statistic soon.
And with only one caution in this one, did the expectations with how the race will be broken up with cautions affect how you drove the car at all throughout the runs?
No, I think I had a kind of unique line and knew what to do with the tires. I'd say the longer the green flag run, the better for me. So that's where I seemed to really fast is the end of the run, not so much at the beginning of the run. So I was happy not to see too many cautions, and I mean that just goes back to the competitiveness of the league and the quality of drivers here. To only have one caution, I think we almost had 40 cars out there. It's a pretty awesome league.
And comparing your line with Malik's, definitely noticed a couple of differences there. And when you were riding behind him, just doing all you could to try to get into that lead to win this race, was there anything you noticed that maybe you thought that you should have been doing differently?
Well, if I could have made it work what he was doing, I probably would have done it. But none of that seemed to work. I had, as I said, just a unique line, and as you pointed out, it's a shallow line. It's worked for me there in real life actually. So it's cool to see it kind of work in the sim as well. But it seems like it's not a good line for the first 20 laps of the run, but come that last 20, it's really on point. But yeah, no, I couldn't make the speed like Malik was able to there, and Anthony, where they were running a little bit higher, and I just had to run my line, and hopefully it would come back to me, and just wasn't enough.
Was still a great finish. Best finish of the year so far. I believe the second or third race that you've run here in the Monday Night Money Series, and we appreciate you joining us up here. Is there anyone you'd like to thank?
Yeah, thanks Sim500 for the awesome league, and all my zeros and ones back at our virtual shop put the car together, and obviously the setup that they put under that thing was on point. So hopefully we can have maybe just a touch faster car next week.
Congrats again. Thanks for joining us.
Appreciate it, bud. Have a good one.
All right, that's Parker Clingerman right there, man. And I don't know if he's still here, but we got to ask Harrison. Remember we mentioned this in the race. Parker, real quick, were you able to sneak into the NBC studios and use that awesome rig they got?
No, I got one at home. It's not nearly as cool. It's actually quite on a budget, I would say. It really lacks some of the nice refinedness of the other one, but that's an awesome rig that we just wheel out for the show. And if there's any sim racers out there that want to join us for that, be sure to hit me up on Twitter, and we'll try to get you guys involved with those live sims, because they're a lot of fun.
Absolutely. Good deal. Again, congratulations. Auto Club Speedway bringing home in second. Well, I'm going to head off down here in Victory Lane because I got a happy man who came out of nowhere, Malik Ray, pulling it into Victory Lane, and we're going to talk in with him tonight. He's got a bad, fast car, and he put it in the winning circle. Malik Ray, you in the booth, got a copy?
See.
Well, I tell you what, there you go. I don't speak a lot of Spanish, but hey, I know that is how you doing. And how are you doing? Because you had a awesome hot rod out there all night long for the Sim500 presented by Transervice Logistics Cup Series here for the Monday Night Money Series. How you feeling out there to bring it home tonight?
I feel pretty good. I was happy that I was actually able to win one of these races because I knew that the competition was a lot more stiff in this series. So I know I wasn't just going to be able to just go, how I normally do in other stuff.
Well, take us back to early on in the race. You were running about third or fourth. Did you think you had anything for Anthony and Parker up there?
I was trying to conserve my tires and just run with them, but then I noticed that when I was doing that, I started making more and more mistakes. And I think the second run, or the first run, Parker got out to like a 1.5 second lead on me. And then I started driving hard just before the caution came out, and I started to run him down just a little bit.
Absolutely. Well, you were able there on that last pit stop, be able to run around and get past that man up front there of Parker and Anthony and take the lead, and you didn't look back. Was you maybe kind of worried there as he was gaining on you towards the end, though?
Yes, because when I pitted, my plan was to just go as hard as I could for the remaining 29 laps. So, like, I was expecting to catch him, but then when I pulled the gap that I had, I wasn't expecting him to run it back down as quick as he did.
We did that earlier on with Anthony, so it was kind of unique to watch him do it later on. But, hey, Michael Guest out there was pulling for you all the way and looked good here tonight. You are the winner here tonight. Auto Club Speedway for the Sim500 Monday Night Money Series presented by Transervice here and the Cup Cars. Got anybody out there you want to thank?
Michael Guest for helping me with the line. Like, he helped me with that mid-race, so that helped me out a lot. That's one of the reasons I was able to end up winning. Sim500, you guys, and Joey for making this league possible, and you guys for broadcasting. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. Well, as always, again, congratulations for bringing it home here tonight. Folks, that's Malik Ray right there, tonight's winner here at Auto Club. As we look through these results, Malik Ray is going to put it in front. Parker Clingerman there in second. Anthony DeBarro third. Chad Cole up in fourth. Mike Kelly fifth. Corbin Hemstreet, good finish for him in sixth. Greg Evans up in seventh. Nicholas Cohan in eighth. Scott Simley there in ninth. And round out the top 10, Chad Coleman. 39 cars started this one tonight here, Harrison. About 35 of them finished it in a one caution style race. What a race to end this one.
Oh yeah, fantastic racing, and not only the caution, or I'm sorry, for most of the race going cautionless with just one caution, but I love watching people struggle with grips. So really entertaining to watch the lead battle in this one, and really all the battles throughout the pack.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Well, folks, that's Auto Club, and we're going short track racing next week. That's right, the Martinsville style. So we go from high banks, well, not really high banks, but we go from some high speed here of a 2-mile track to low beating and banging style speed next week. And if we put 39, 40 cars out there, that's going to be a bull ring there. So until then, everyone, I hope you appreciate it tonight. Tune in next week. Everyone have a good night.